So if you guys do not know, Xavi Hernández is going to be continuing at Barcelona for another season, and I'm going to be naming the 5 expectations that Xavi Hernández will need to meet for the next season. Moving on to point number 1, make Barcelona the best defensive team in Europe again. Let's remember what happened in Barcelona's first season under Xavi Hernández. Barcelona were considered to be the best defensive team in Europe. Here is going to be the rank on where Barcelona were at. You can see that they were in first place. They were the best defensive team in Europe by only conceding 20 goals throughout that whole year. Napoli came in second, Lens came in third, we have Lazio, then Juventus, Newcastle, Atletico Madrid, Manchester City. But number 1 was Barcelona. The 2022-2023 year really was an amazing year for Xavi Hernández's Barcelona. But then, when we look at the season that we are in today, look at where Barcelona is ranked. They went from first to 26th place. That is insane. Also, if you think about it, Inter Milan might have a better defensive record than Barcelona from last season, because right now Inter Milan have only allowed 18 goals. It's very interesting, but Barcelona have allowed 37 goals in total for this season, almost double from what they have conceded from the previous year. This is part of the reason why Barcelona will not win the league this year. Like for example, they lost to Real Madrid earlier this season 2-1. They lost to Girona 4-2. They lost to Villarreal 5-3. They lost to Real Madrid again 3-2. And in other games where Barcelona did win but have conceded a lot were games like a 4-3 win versus Villarreal, right? We allowed for Villarreal to score 3 goals against us. We won against Celta 3-2, and then we won against Almeria 3-2. Almeria had no business scoring 2 goals against us. I don't know why that ended up happening, but it was embarrassing. Barcelona have not conceded this many goals at this stage of a season since like the 2000 and 2001 season, where they have let in a total of 34 goals. There's also this stat that does state they have conceded more shots per game, 10.8, compared to the 8.7 they had last year, and are also allowing opponents to have slightly more of the ball in advanced areas, allowing for the opponents to get 59.8 passes against in the attacking third versus only 52 last season. So part of the reason why Barcelona have gone defensively very low is because Sergio Busquets did leave in the past summer. He was the balance to the attack and also the defense. He was the one that provided us with a lot of cover between the center backs, and he prevented from our back line being exposed. We thought that Oriol Romeu was going to be our next replacement for Sergio Busquets, but it ended up failing. So we had to move forward through this season without a pivot. Then we lost Gavi. Gavi got an ACL injury about 7 months ago. Having Gavi out of the squad meant that our center backs were going to be having less protection. And when Gavi was here, he was the one that always tracked back, that always tried to tackle, that always tried to press the opponent. Barcelona looked much better with Gavi. And then came another problem, which was Ter Stegen. Ter Stegen had to leave for about 2.5 months because of injury. And then Peña came in, and he was doing well for a moment, but later as the games went by, Peña wasn't seen as reliable compared to when he started, by making many mistakes, making misplaced passes. He couldn't really block many shots, and Barcelona were conceding a lot of goals. We needed Ter Stegen back. And overall, Barcelona mentally, they went down. For some reason, they lost a lot of focus. These players did not really believe in themselves. Araujo was making multiple mistakes against PSG, misplaced passes here and there. Koundé, I remember, let Vini and Rodrigo go through him during the Spanish Super Cup final. We had Cancelo also make a lot of defensive mistakes against Dembélé, also made defensive mistakes against Real Madrid, and so I saw some errors and lack of focus from these players overall. For sure, in the next season, the whole defensive line, I don't know who's going to be our starting back line, but most likely it's going to be Balde, Kubarsi, Araujo, and Koundé, or Cancelo for Balde. Whoever it may be, that back line will need to be much more focused in the next season and way more organized. Going on to point number 2, we need to gain back the league title. That is going to be one of the biggest expectations, because look, clearly Barcelona have lost the league this season. Yes, mathematically it is still possible for us to win, but there's no way. There's an 11-point gap. It's just not gonna happen. But the most important title, it is La Liga. You may say, but Kevin, what about the Champions League? And look, winning the Champions League without winning La Liga means nothing. Like, of course, are we going to celebrate if Barcelona win the Champions League? Yes, of course, but I feel like in the long run, if Barcelona win the Champions League in the next season without La Liga, to me, that is no indicator of us really showing that we are building a great sporting project, and I am going to be explaining what I mean by that in a few seconds. So it's idiotic for us to prioritize the Champions League over La Liga. It has to be La Liga first. We must be in first place. We must start very well, and through the whole season next season, I want to see teams like Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Girona try to catch up to us. We can't be in a position again where we have to try and close the margin between second and first place. But going back to comparing the Champions League and La Liga, look, there is a lot of prestige in the Champions League. I get it. But for sure, league titles overall are much more harder to achieve. Way more harder, because in the Champions League, it is knockout football. Knockout rounds, you're only given one game and then you go through the next stage, or you get knocked out. Because it is only one game, you just need to play some good aggressive football, and if you have enough luck, you'll get through, and that's all you need to do. But in the league, it requires consistency, perseverance, and toughness through the whole season, because it is 9 to 10 months long. You cannot just be good for one day and expect to go to the next round and win something. In the league, you have to be consistent for so long, and that is what makes it so rewarding in the end if you end up winning. And when you see a team carry these type of tendencies, right? Consistency, perseverance, mental toughness, and you end up being first within your league, that means that you are going down the right path. It means that your sporting project holds a lot of weight, because if you're consistent, that means that you're scoring goals every weekend. That is enough for you to win. You're defending very well all the time. You're showing that you have a great starting 11 and also having great youth players that can also complement the first team. Because since the league is like 9 months long, eventually some player is going to be injured, and it's also showing to you that you do have great depth. And so to me, that shows that you are having a great sporting project, which is why I do say, like, if you win first place in La Liga, you are going down the right path. Like, can you imagine you're competing for the Champions League, and then you get to that match day in the Champions League, and then you realize that on that day you're down by like 3 to 4 players, like 3 to 4 players are injured, and then you have to play that game and you end up losing. But if you had those 3 to 4 players, you probably would have won. Like, I would much rather be Bayer Leverkusen of 2024 than Chelsea of 2021. Like, who do you think is the real winner today? Who do you think is going to have much more longevity, Chelsea or Bayer Leverkusen? Chelsea won the Champions League in 2021, and now everybody's like, okay, they won, but like, where are they now? Are they going to compete this season? No. Are they going to compete the next season? No. Bayer Leverkusen know where they're going. They're given a lot of respect, and the team that they are building is extremely strong. Chelsea is a team that have shown that they are here today and then gone tomorrow. What is the future of Chelsea? What is it? Tell me. There is nothing. The sporting project for them has not even begun. So La Liga has to be it, because if you're doing well in La Liga, that's also going to translate to you doing well in the Champions League. Barcelona have to make that the #1 title for them. It's a title that they have been dominating over the past 10 years. And I expect for Xavi Hernández to do extremely well next season in the league because of the amount of youngsters we will be having and the amount of veterans that we are going to be receiving. Moving on to point number 3, and that is to, at the very least, get into the semifinals of the Champions League. I don't think that it is a necessity for us to win the Champions League next year. It'll be nice, like I already told everybody here, right? I would celebrate like a maniac if Barcelona win the Champions League. But if we go to the semifinals of the Champions League and we get knocked out, that is okay. That is a green light for Xavi. That means that this Barcelona team is progressing. Because like I have always said, all I want is for Barcelona to compete. Xavi Hernández, that's all he wants. Like he has said this multiple times, is to be in the conversation, be in the semifinalist of any competition, always be there. Just always be there, always compete, always give the opponent a tough time and go far in any competition, because that always leads to a good route. You only gain much more experience within your squad. Barcelona got KO'd against PSG in the quarterfinals because they cracked under pressure. Like, yes, Barcelona showed character when they were on the ball. That is why we were able to score an amazing goal or amazing goals. But when we had to defend, we got nervous. And I believe that if Barcelona want to progress for the next year, they have to minimize their nervousness in the back line. If Barcelona can play well under pressure, that's going to lead towards a great Champions League run. Xavi Hernández stated this earlier this year, and I quote, "I think that we missed out on the Champions League semifinals because of details, not because we didn't have the level. What I think that we need to improve is a maturity so that we can compete better." And that is what I do mean, right? We just need to have much more maturity at the back line. Don't be so nervous. Relax. And if you can do that, you'll go farther in the Champions League. Now, to be honest, dude, like my opinion about the Champions League could change in about 3 to 4 months, because if Joan Laporta makes a dramatic summer transfer window, like if we sign Silva, Kimmich, and then like something crazy like Alphonso Davies, for example, and he just does something so spectacular, which is something that I honestly don't see, by the way, but if he does something like this, then yes, maybe I'll say, okay, we have to go to the Champions League final if we signed these 3 players. There's no way. But as of now, the semifinals of the Champions League needs to be met as a requirement. Moving on to point number 4, and that is winning the Spanish Super Cup and the Copa del Rey. Yes, I have said it. Barcelona have to win 3 trophies next season. That is expected. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Xavi won 2 in his first year at Barcelona. Unfortunately, in this year, we could not win anything because of these unfortunate circumstances, but in the next year, because like I've said, we won 2 in the first year, I think that one more title would really do it for Xavi Hernández. It would be a step above from the first season. For the Spanish Super Cup, like we won in the 2018-2019 season by beating Sevilla 2-1, and then we won 3 years later, which was the 2022-2023 season, and Barcelona won 3-1 against Real Madrid in the final. Notice how in those 2 recent wins that we have had for the Spanish Super Cup, we also won La Liga. Like I've said, if you do well in the league, you'll do well in other competitions. And also for the Copa del Rey. The last time Barcelona won a Copa del Rey was back in the 2020-2021 season when they won 4-0 against Athletic Club. By the time we go into the next year and we go into the Spanish Super Cup final, if we make it, it'll be 4 years since the last time we won this competition. So, like I've said, if we can win these 2 trophies, the Spanish Super Cup and the Copa del Rey, is going to be a great measuring point on just how well Barcelona do during knockout rounds and under pressure. So now moving on towards the last requirement, and that is point number 5, and that is Barcelona need to be a team that dominates possession again. Xavi made it very clear since the beginning of the season. Barcelona needed a pivot in order for them to be very effective when in possession. And the reason why I am saying that is because every team or normal club needs a pivot to be successful when you want to play as a possession-based team. Look at how Rodri plays at Man City and how important he is. Look at Declan Rice at Arsenal. Look at Fabian Ruiz at PSG. These are players that are pivots and know how to win the possession for their team. And also, if you look at this graph here, look at where Barcelona rank in terms of the possession, which will be at the bottom, and then you can see the passes per possession on the left side. Barcelona are still one of the best teams in terms of the average possession per game. Only PSG and City are better. But when it comes to passes per possession, meaning how many passes can you complete before you do lose the ball, there are so many other teams that are better than Barcelona. Arsenal, Real Madrid, Bayern, Brighton, PSG, Bayer Leverkusen, and Man City. The reason why Barcelona are not so great in this aspect of the game is because Barcelona are forced to play direct and with long balls because we have to skip the midfield. We cannot be a team that can pass the ball here and there and outplay the opponent through passes. And when Barcelona try to be a team where they don't really want to dominate the possession and go on the counter all the time or through long balls, it's not really Barcelona's game. We don't want to go down in this route. Barcelona need an identity. They know what that identity should be, and it's a team that knows and understands positional play, finding the third man, high press, switch the ball over the field as fast as possible, playing out from the back as smoothly as possible, scoring goals. And when you have possession, you are effective with that possession. You score goals and you dominate the opponent. You overwhelm them. That is what Barcelona is and what they're striving for. You strive for perfection. And Man City, like when it comes to like passes per possession or like the possession overall, Man City is in the perfection area. It's just insane how high they are ranked in this graph. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.